That one seemed to work. We're almost done. Let's go, my friend.
Oh, appropriate, given those are the only two people that actually attacked him. Why does it have two crests? Are they fake? It looks like it's made of a different material, too, even. Ooh. Okay, Claude, not the time.
You are a foolish child.
Tough talk from the guy who's lived too long. Allow me to fix that.
Not the time to use your bow, Claude.
You are all pathetic weaklings. You lack the courage to challenge me in low combat.
Yet we have the strength to scale the walls between us, to reach out our hands in friendship, so we can open our true hearts to one another. That's how we win!
Nice shot. I thought you'd get rusty on the bow by this point. Are those the ancient soldiers? Is he gonna turn to dust too?
Future historians will refer to this day as the new dawn of Fodlan. Of that, I have no doubt. It's up to you now, Teach. As for my path...
Oh, sure. How much is left to do? This?
A rising flame was alight as the flow of time carved a new history for Fodlan. The ambitions of the Fell King Nemesis were crushed.
What ambition?
Averting what could have been the greatest crisis in the history of Fodlan. After 5.5 years of war, a new age was set to begin. Country, faith, history, all that had once formed the order of the world was wiped clean. The heroes whose very hand saved Fodlan from a dark fate commenced with the building of a new society. The leaders of this new, unified Fodlan began their walk down a seemingly endless path. One towards a world that would cherish differences in race and belief. One where all life would be valued equally. Those leaders clung to the hope that their path would not end with Fodlan, that it would someday span the seas to Dagda, and beyond the throat to Ulmira.
Okay. Pretty optimistic there, to get everyone on board with that. I guess if you spun it the right way. I'm not sure how still, but you know.
This is quite a place. Whatever you wanted to tell me must be pretty important.
It is. Well, to me at least. You can decide that later.
Okay, what's going on? You're making a weird face. It's freaking me out. You're going to rule over all of Fodlan, right? Let's talk about that.
Wait, what? Wait, what? What? I said no! Wait, I know they didn't give me an explicit... I don't wanna rule over... Oh my god. I guess they, like... Oh my god, I don't wanna. Yes, but...
This is a chance to replace the old hollow Church of Seros with something new. Something better. In your new position, you can make that happen.
I definitely agree. You know what? Someone who has doubts about it would probably, make a good person to have along is, a second voice. I'm trying to justify this to myself. I'm trying to make a headcanon. I'm sorry. I can certainly try.
Then do it. Those hypocrites preached about love and decency while shoving folks like me into the shadows. That's a pretty shoddy religion in my book. You can reshape it into something that actually helps people. Not that I need any help, mind you. I can help myself just fine.
That's true. I'm not really saying much here, am I?
Oh, there's another thing I meant to talk to you about. It's,
Stop trying to derail the conversation. Come on.
You figured me out. I'm just nervous, okay? Say whatever you're going to say.
I have something for you.
I knew you were going to do that. I just knew it. Okay, let me tell you why this is a bad idea.
I wonder how many of these, once you get to it's like, okay, let me just give you a pros and cons list. No, sorry, not a pros list, just a cons list. Just, as an FYI. Go ahead. I'd love to hear them.
You know that I'll always be coping with this condition, this curse. It'll always be a part of my life. I feel safe with you, but you'll never feel the same with me. I'm not the kind of person you should get a cat with. Unless you want your cat to be eaten by monsters. Have you thought about all that? I know you care about me. I care about you too. I wish we could spend our lives together. But it just wouldn't be right. I can't let you throw away your own happiness for my sake.
Actually, Happy. Oh, I see some iron. Oh, that's neat. That's neat. I wonder if they did that on purpose.
Hold on. You're saying that you imbued this ring with magic? An enchantment that wards off monsters. So, it negates my curse? I'm free?
Really? We figured it out? What? Test it. Test it right now. Do it. I don't believe it. Oh my goodness.
Hang on. That means you weren't really proposing? Oh, and here I am talking about getting a cat together. I almost wish a monster would appear just to save me from the embarrassment.
Here's the thing, Happy. I don't want a cat. I want a dog. I much prefer dogs. Happy. Will you marry me?
Oh, come on. I can't handle all this will we, won't we stuff. My heart's going to pop out of my chest.
Oh, this is fun.
All right. Thank you for giving me a second to collect myself. Yes, you weirdo. Of course I'll marry you.
That is... So many reasons why I chose her out of the possible options are just popping up in this, and I love it. I'm so happy. No, you're happy.
Me too. Well, obviously I'm happy, but I'm also... You know what I mean. I appreciate everything you've done for me. You've changed my life in more ways than one. It's hard not to fall for someone like that. Though, of course, I've had a crush on you from the get-go.
Really?
Oh, forget I said that. I'm all over the place. We don't know what the future has in store for us, but for now, maybe we can forget all that and just enjoy being together.
Of course.
Good. After all, we worked so hard to get here. Come closer, will you? Damn, that felt good.
That was nice. Okay, are we going into this? I was told that I should be able to stop the, that this has been a long one, man. This one's literally been over months. I haven't been spamming it nearly as much, but... So the original one, I guess, yeah, Emil. Because I didn't even do that on... I didn't even record that, technically. I got up to the picking the houses part. Hilda was really good early on, wasn't she? Ignatz too, Claude too, Marianne. I was told that once we get to, like, the future epilogue stuff, I should be able to press A to stop it, hopefully. Or X, or one of them. I'll press buttons this time. Does seem like I kept my turn count down in comparison to, you know, previous times, especially early on, when I was redoing a bunch of stuff. I think most every... Well, Emil got the very first one. Is he ever going to get another one again? I sort of pushed him along a path where he was support... Oh, no, he did get another one. Face beneath. Okay. So many Claude MVPs, though. I'm not surprised. He's been so good for me throughout this. It's like every other one. Claude. 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 Oh, hey, Yuri. Been a while. Oh, Neil got one in... Oh, okay. Claude just fucking carried me throughout the last few chapters, didn't he? He really fucking did. I really enjoyed developing everyone into just really interesting builds, and Claude just flourished. Okay. Should be next, right? Please work. Please don't actually skip it on me. Okay, there we go. Balthus disappeared shortly after the war, but rumors of his exploits swirled for a long time thereafter. Some say he returned to Kupala, where he became a protector of the mountain folk. Others say he remained right under Garrick Mock's nose as a prominent underworld figure. Whatever the truth, the tale of his domination in the first ever All-Fothan tournament brawl is likely too persistent to be a fabrication. I suppose someone had to... I had so many A-rank ones. I wonder how many of them actually apply to this. And the same as previous, I presume. Yeah. I'm not surprised. While Flayn disappeared soon after the war, set a stayed at the monastery and worked to restore the authority of the Church of Seros. Disappeared? Interesting. Doing away with his old strictness, he adopted a tolerant stance towards all, and encouraged his followers to do the same. That's great! That is fantastic, Seth actually learned from all this. When he was satisfied that the message was received, he vanished from the monastery. Several centuries later, a man and a woman in ancient attire emerged to a Fothan that had drastically changed. When she asked the man beside her if it would be all right if this new era when she asked the man beside her if it would be all right in this new era to call him father, he said that perhaps it would be better to remain on the safe side. Fantastic! Oh my goodness. So, Flayn disappeared and stopped being, like, interacting with people? That's sort of unfortunate, given her whole thing. Leone joined up with mercenaries formerly led by Geralt. Please don't actually get, like, married or something. He has a family. As his greatest apprentice, she quickly took on a leadership role, and eventually even inherited the title of Blade Breaker. Very nice. No matter where she went, however, she was burdened with Geralt's unpaid tavern tabs. Angry with Eloise for pushing these debts upon her, she went to Garrick Mock to force him to pay half the debt. She encountered a smiling Eloise, who had become the captain of the Knights of Seros, and was all too happy in his new prosperity to take the debts back on. Oh, does he get paid good money being the captain? It is said that Leone developed quite the drinking habit once she was free to visit taverns whenever she liked. Oh. The Blade Breaker 2. Nice. Very nice. After the war, Constance devoted herself to magical research. Her unorthodox methods allowed her to make great strides, which earned her acclaim and eventually enabled her to restore her noble house. Okay, I guess noble houses stuck around. Afterwards, almost as if to spite her detractors, she married Yuri. The pair made a happy, if unconventional couple, as the husband frequently ventured away for months on end. In the long years of their marriage, however, Constance laughed off any concerns. She is known to say that Yuri always knew how to find his way home. Many decades later, he passed away in bed alongside his beloved wife. Oh, that's nice. After the wars, Mercedes accompanied Lorenz back to his homeland. There, the young heir petitioned his father, Count Gloucester, to permit the couple to marry. Though the Count initially disapproved Mercedes' status as a commoner, he was persuaded by her virtues as a person to change his mind. He praised Lorenz for having taste and character superior to his own. I can only imagine how people's lives would be if they had like all these noble obligations, how much they might not get along with the people they get marry eventually. You know? Now, after Lorenz succeeded his father as lord of the territory, the couple finally wed. With Lorenz's stern approach to governance and Mercedes' open mind, House Gloucester flourished under their rule. Okay. These two. Okay. That's not what I was expecting, but okay. I guess he reminds him of his sister. I guess she reminds him of his sister, I was going to say, but yeah. Raphael returned to his hometown to serve his liege lord as knight, and spent his spare time helping out at the inn that his family had opened during his time away. Due to his grandfather's age, he was compelled before long to give up knighthood and manage the inn full-time. Soon after that, the inn began to be frequented by Lysithea and her family, who had renounced all claims to nobility and begun life as commoners. Lysithea found a kindred spirit in Raphael's sister Maya, and before long found herself helping out around the place too. Eventually, she was put in charge of the kitchen, where it said that she spent the rest of her days happily working. So they didn't even get together. They were just like happily, okay. They just found a happiness in the everyday toil of life in the same area. Cool, okay. Marianne returned home to a warm welcome from her adoptive father, who recognized her wisdom and skill and began to groom her as his successor. During that time, she had a chance to reunite with Ignatz, who had persuaded his family to allow him to travel the world as an artist. Marianne wholeheartedly supported his work, and before long, came to be enchanted not merely by the landscapes and portraits of all he had seen in his travels, but also by his character. The romance between artist and patron was considered unusual, but long after their wedding, the story of how they fell in love was immortalized in popular plays. Really. You know, I did like their supports. That was one where they went out and just like watched the sunset, right? I remember that one really stuck in my mind. Oh good, I like that these two ended up together. Caspar and Hilda, under no pressure to inherit any noble titles, spent the early years of peace after the war traveling. They journeyed to every corner of Fodlan, and even ventured abroad now and again. Caspar's antics caused endless entertainment for Hilda, who loved to stand by and watch him fight or squirm his way out of trouble. Eventually, their free-spirited adventure was called to end by Hilda's brother, Holst, of course it was, who offered Caspar a position as a knight in service of House Goneril. Caspar accepted, and before long he and Hilda were married. The couple raised many children, and were said to have a notoriously lively household. You can see that? No, I like these two together too. Part of the reason I had, her on him for the, adjutant stuff. Because I liked the whole song thing. It was so cute. It's like, oh, I want to see them end up together. Entrusting the future of Fodlan to his friends, Claude left for Almyra with Annette, whom he intended to marry. Well, that seems like something out of the blue for her. He announced this fact to his father, the king of Almyra. Oh, wait. What? Did that come up? I knew he's from Almyra, but wait. Did that ever come up? It sounds familiar, though. Huh. Who approved of Claude's growth and Annette's wisdom, and resolved to entrust the monarchy to them. Once he became king, Claude established a school of sorcery with the intent to use it as a bridge between Elmira and Fodlan. Annette took on a role as headmaster, supporting Claude's dream by opening the doors to students from every corner of the world. Relations between Elmira and Fodlan improved drastically as a result. Oh, that's nice. After ascending to the throne as the first leader of the United Kingdom of Fodlan. Really? It's a kingdom? Whatever. Emil announces marriage to Hapi. Her disquieting lineage earned her more than her fair share of detractors, but over time, as the royal couple restored Fodlan together, the people came to appreciate her competence and taciturn wit. Some years later, when those who slither in the dark emerged to threaten Fodlan once again, it is said that Hapi's strength was instrumental in dealing with them. Oh, so they weren't taken out by this? Okay. Well, that's nice. I feel a nice sigh is an appropriate summation of my feelings on this game. I'm gonna say, no, I don't think... I'm not gonna completely rule out the possibility, but no, I don't think I'm gonna go and do Blue Lion stuff. If there's one thing that I really feel as though I've come to think about this game over the course of this second... Oh, this is... I don't remember vocal lyrics in the Crimson Flower, at least. So, I will say one thing, and I mentioned it earlier to some extent, is I think this game is actually, from a narrative perspective, better with a single route. If you just pick up the game, play one route, and then walk away. Maybe come back when you've completely forgotten everything about the other route. I'm not saying that the story's bad. I'm just saying once you start having the crossover, you lose the sort of sense of thematic consistency between them. It's like they wanted each route to be a different game, essentially. They wanted everything to add up. They wanted to have their fucking cake and eat it too, basically, right? They wanted it to be an excellent experience on their own, but they also wanted them all to connect, so they don't actually have the full story of everything connect together. There's questions that you have, but I don't know about Verdant Wind and stuff like that in terms of leftover questions that you'd have if you played it first, but in Crimson Flower, the reason I went and played a second route after it wasn't because I didn't feel satisfied with the story. It's because I felt like I just wanted to play more because I enjoyed it so much. And at this point, once you have the crossover of everything between the two, it just starts, it's so much obvious there's a greater story there, and it detracts from what they want, from like having a really strong route story. So going through this, it's like there's so much overlap in thinking, and like the strong thematic sort of emotional journey that you go through doesn't hit as hard. Maybe because it happened once already too, that probably doesn't help. That you've already gone through it to some extent already. So I can honestly say, going through this as I have, I've come to appreciate the story less over the course of it. I'm not saying it's bad, I'm just starting to see going through two routes really does shine a light on the massive holes that they have across the whole story, rather than just having a solid, emotionally satisfying single route experience. And honestly, a lot of the stuff I have in here makes me feel as though Verdant Wind would have been the same, basically. Because that's all you know, you don't have anything to, etc, etc, etc. And I can imagine the same is for Blue Lines as well. And that's just sort of how it is. I can honestly say with significant confidence that my Crimson Flower run I enjoyed probably 1.5 times as much as I did this. That's not to say I didn't enjoy it. It's just like the difference between like a and this won't correspond to the 1.5 just because, you know, ratings in like video game ratings are just like never consistent with that. It's like playing an 80 overall, like an 8 out of 10 game versus a 9 out of 10 game, that sort of thing. So my desire to go play Blue Lions is very small. Knowing for one, I know people that have come and said like, you should play this, you should play this. I've gotten the impression through the comments like, oh, you don't have the opinion about things that I want you to have, that sort of thing, which, it is what it is. I don't think my opinion's gonna change if I go and play Blue Lions on stuff. I think people are going to have the reaction to me going to do Blue Lions for the sake of doing Blue Lions of, one, he's not really enjoying it that much, two, or as much as I want him to, that sort of thing. I'd be doing it out of an obligation at that point. And two, he's not having the opinions I want him to have. So either you're satisfied where we are currently, probably, and you'd be interested in more, but not necessarily... Okay, better way to phrase it. I'm rambling, I always ramble. I won't have the opinions people want me to. Other people will enjoy it just the same. But ultimately it'll be done out of obligation, so it's gonna be one of the two ultimately, so... I just saw Roku in there. Is that like Scythia? I don't know. Either way, yeah, I don't think I'm going to. I just don't see the point to me. I feel like I've worn out my interest in playing more of it. I really did enjoy building up these unique, interesting builds and playing through with them. Albeit with the novelty of that sort of dying off a little bit down the road there. Claude becoming a fucking beast at the end was fun, though. My god, that was fun. I'm happy I didn't do Nightmare. Ultimately, though, gameplay-wise, I really enjoyed it. I think it's very interesting. I think it's definitely the sort of game, to me, is the most fun if it's not something that demands for you to optimize. And from what I heard about Nightmare before going into this even, is that it sounded like something you had to optimize for. And that sounds horrible for this gameplay system in my mind. Obviously some people will enjoy that. I'm not a min-maxer. The thing I enjoyed about the gameplay system was the idea of building these interesting builds and just seeing them thrive. Like seeing just the idea of, it's because if to clarify, I understand min-maxers often like seeing them thrive and whatnot. The difference is, when you min-max, you're building the solution. I want to build my solution to the problem. I don't want to have to be boxed in and told, this is the way to solve the problem. Or have just like a handful of them, maybe. To feel like I'm being pushed in a direction, rather than designing it like my own, designing my own solution from the ground up. And this game did a fantastic job. Fantastic job of letting me do that. On hard difficulty or below, basically. I only played on hard, right? I did Crimson Flower on hard, right? Did I? I'm pretty sure I did. It's been a fucking while. But overall, yeah, gameplay. That is absolutely the thing this game does so well, and I love that. I've had enough of it, though, so I don't want to go and do more. It's the sort of thing that I'd probably want to come back to in, I don't know, a few years down the line, maybe. Play another game from the series or something like that. Or maybe play Blue Lions, I don't know. I feel like I'm more the sort of person to go and watch a Let's Play Blue Lions. Just to get that, but not necessarily make it my experience of doing it at this point. Presentation-wise, there's definitely more presentation built into this than Crimson Flower had. I have seen some comments talking about how Crimson Flower got chipped in that regard, but yeah, I can definitely see that. But it's the same general quality of presentation. It had a few more things here and there. So my comments from back then still apply. Musically, I still think it's very good. I think particularly the battle tracks. I think especially how they're like the dynamic versions where there's like some when you like zoom in and some when you're out like on the map, and it like varies between them based on which state you're in. That was cool. Other than that, story-wise, I can honestly say I don't feel satisfied. And I can honestly say that I am utterly convinced that I will never feel satisfied. Because there is a tendency for them explaining stuff to just hold off on stuff, give sort of a half-hearted answer, and not really satiate like the little curiosities I have in any form. They just have... It feels like they knew what they wanted the story to be, but they didn't really put the work in to make it so that the world felt consistent and coherent. That last stuff with Nemesis in general felt particularly ham-fisted, like it was thrown in there to be an ultimate super boss for the sake of having it there rather than, you know, having an interesting story moment or a lore moment that makes any sense. It didn't seem to tie into anything. It didn't seem to do any of that stuff whatsoever. And I think I've been told, too, that I won't get full explanations on basically anything unless I do particular supports, too, which is stupid. That's the thing. I don't think I'm ever going to be satisfied with this. The amount of time you have to put in to just do everything to search for it is not worth it. It's not that satisfying of a payoff, ultimately. Which is why I'll go back to, if I were to recommend the game, this game to someone, I would recommend for them to just play the one round. And if they feel like doing more, sure, do more. But I would say it sort of loses a bit of its value, its novelty, its interesting consistency once you start expanding beyond the one route, basically. And that's not a bad thing, ultimately. It's still a very good game, it just doesn't have the tightness of the experience. Because one of the things I said at the end of Crimson Flower is one of the reasons I just liked it so much is that it was just so well paced too. That's a part of it too, where you're always jumping between training, battle, talking to characters, support, stuff like that. And it had an excellent yin-yang on the first playthrough that just worked so well. Once you sort of work through the novelty of that, and you work through having done stuff before, and it happened in Crimson Flower in the latter half where you didn't have that jumping back and forth part as quite as tightly done, you lose a lot of that pacing. And in something that I've spent probably more time in the game and have done 2 out of 4 routes for, than any, I probably have more hours on this than I have for any other game I've ever played on the channel. Ultimately, I will say the thing that makes this game special in my eyes is the same as what I said at the end of Crimson Flower, is that it has a modular sort of ability to customize your experience, to really make it feel like your own. It's not fantastic at it, but there's so much of it here and there that if you have that consistent thematic story in one route, and you can do all that and it's paced so well early on especially, and you lose a little bit of that towards the end, but you're still rushing towards the climax of an emotional journey, it's just so good. Even if it took me 90 hours, it was fantastic, and it felt like it just breezed by in terms of actually playing the initial time. The second time through, you lose a lot of that, which the overall experience, in both narrative, gameplay, everything basically, it's still interesting, but you have to be super duper mega invested at that point, I think, in order to work through all that. Because by the time I reach, I wonder what hour mark I'm at. Nope, that's brighter. Ah, my eyes. Ah, eyes. Data. 161 hours. Fantastic, ain't it? Where was I at the end of the Crimson Flower? I have cleared name. 85 hours. So it took me about as long to finish this as it did Crimson Flower first time through. There's definitely more chapters, mind you, but yeah. Add in the time for the DLC too. Which is probably another 15 hours or so. Yeah. Yeah, 16 hours. So, this is actually probably by far the most time I've put into any game on my channel. I've done 2 out of 4 routes. There's too much. There's just too much. They cannot ask you to do all this to get a proper explanation on everything. And that's with me not actively searching to do each and every little thing throughout the route, too. Like all the supports, recruit everyone, blah blah blah, blee blue, blah blue, blah blue, blee, etc. It's tiring, I suppose. I feel spent in regards to this game. It's enjoyable, it's cool, it's interesting, but it's just, I cannot imagine myself feeling motivated to pick it up again for a long time. And the unfortunate thing is while that was good, I'm not leaving it on a note of like, that was awesome. It felt like I had just like a fantastic place to end it, and I feel a sense of finality to it, because I don't. I feel as though there's a bunch of questions, and I'm still going to do several extra supports after this, just out of interest in them specifically. But ultimately, I know I know I probably sound like I'm complaining, and I am, basically, but I'm a critical person. It changes I guess all the things I'm talking about that really sum up my feelings on the game at this point. Change it from what would have been like a 9 out of 10 to an 8 out of 10, and I think that's basically it. It changes it from being something really special to being something very competent and very good at what it's trying to do. With obvious flaws that drag it back from being special. And it's unfortunate. And I'm not going to say it's easy to do things in the capacity that I'm saying, where you can put all this together and really make it work for a presumably 300-hour game or something when you do all the routes. Yeah, maybe? Something like that. But yeah. Yeah. I'm going to do some supports after this, but I feel as though I'm done. I have a hard time imagining myself coming back to this. Not because it's a bad game, I want to emphasize that, but because, yeah, it's dragged all my motivation to play it out of me. Little by little, over 160 hours. Holy fucking shit. So, thank you all for anyone that's come across this entire journey as it's been. Fantastic. Props to you. That's some dedication. And thank you for coming along with me on this journey. It has been an interesting one with its ups and downs and everything else about it. If you have any questions on my opinions on specific stuff, feel free to ask in the comments, because I'm sure there's a lot of random things that were revealed that I didn't express a specific opinion on and whatnot. So feel free to ask, and I'll do supports, a couple supports after this, I imagine. So, I'll see you again in whatever journey you decide to join me on next. Whether that's another Fire Emblem down the road, or perhaps something else entirely. Thank you all for joining in. I do really, truly appreciate it. So I'll see you all then. Drive safely, everyone. And hello and welcome back to the last thing, and I'm fairly confident this is going to be the last thing for me on Fire Emblem 3 Houses. I have 3 supports, Hapi and Ashe, Flayn in the MC, and Rhea in the MC. Then I'm going to go through the various different supports that I did not see. The Hapi and Ashe was among a list of Rhea Draco, who's provided a bunch of interesting comments on some that I might be interested in doing in what I'm doing here. So I picked the one that sounded the most interesting based on their sales pitch. So thank you for that. Flayn, because I didn't finish it and I sort of locked myself out, and I've done the first one of that before. So why not? Then Rhea, because I figure I might as well give her the greatest amount of chance to win me over in the end, right? At the very least, give her that chance. So, Hapi and Ashe.
Thanks so much for the help. We should be able to manage on our own from here.
I'm glad to be of use. If there's anything else you need, come find me anytime.
Well, well. You seem to be pretty chummy with the knights.
Chummy? I suppose. Really, I was just helping out with some equipment repairs.
For an assignment or something?
No, it just looked like they could use a hand, so I lent one.
To me, it looked like they were using you for some unpaid labor.
Unpaid labor? I helped them because I wanted to, Hapi. I wasn't expecting to be paid. It's like when you help us with our assignments. We don't pay you for that, do we?
Like I have a choice. Can I give you some advice, Freckles? Don't support the knights, the church, any of them. All you'll get in return is a knife in the back.
Isn't that a little dramatic? You really don't need to worry about that with most people.
You're naive. Those two-faced buffoons exasperate me so much I can hardly help but...
Oh, hey! That reminds me of a great story. You have to hear this one. It's called, oh, The Luna Knight's Tale. Yeah, I think you'll love this.
Making up on the spot, eh?
On second thought, maybe a story about a knight isn't what you want to hear right now.
I like how his voice cracks.
You know, the knights in stories aren't like the ones in real life. Unless the Luna Knight is a liar who does terrible things.
No, of course not. The Luna Knight is the hero of the story. She's from an offshoot of House Blathet, marries into House Regan after the Crescent Moon War. In peacetime, she sets aside her weapons and devotes herself to giving wise counsel to her husband.
Ooh.
In this role, she ensures that the dishonest and unfaithful are dealt with accordingly.
Huh. She sounds like a real hero.
Very much so, yes. The tale is full of fascinating details about her.
Ashe, I'm sorry to interrupt, but if you're not too busy, we could really use your help right now.
Of course. Be right there. I'll tell you the rest of the tale later, okay, Hapi?
Sure, I guess. But seriously, watch yourself, okay? I don't want you to learn I'm right the hard way. See ya, Freckles. I can hardly wait to hear that riveting story of yours.
Using me? I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. That's what it is ultimately, isn't it? He's getting used in a bit. It's not like, I don't think it's malicious using him. I think it's just taking advantage of him. Like, it's not necessarily an aspect unique to the church. And I sort of agree with Hapi, and obviously they're trying to show her being a bit too extreme on that opinion. But knights, the church, and all that in this world, in my opinion, are so played up as these amazing spirits and people. Like even the Church of Ceros, you had that whole support with Alois and Mercedes at the end there in this playthrough, where he's basically like, yeah, the church, the Knights of Ceros are probably not what you think they are, yeah? Yep.
Hapi! I've been looking everywhere for you.
What's going on? Something urgent?
The end of the world!
Oh no, but I promised to tell you the rest of the Luna Knight's tale, remember?
Huh. I've forgotten all about that. If you really want to tell the story that badly, I guess just go ahead.
Okay, I will. Do you remember where I left off?
There wasn't really much of a story there.
Well, you were telling me something about how the Luna Knight was hard on liars and cheaters.
Right. So her husband, Duke Regan, turns out to be a bit of a libertine.
Oh, Claude's ancestor's a liar and a cheater? Maybe?
That's hilarious. My favorite part was when she caught her husband in the act and tossed him out the window. I thought tales about knights were supposed to be straight-laced, but this one's raunchy as heck.
That's nice.
Glad you enjoyed it. Usually these tales are pretty serious. But sometimes in a serious story, you need lighter moments like that to connect to the characters. It helps to see that even these great heroes made mistakes now and again. Just like us.
You're so trusting, Freckles. For some reason, I find it endearing. But you shouldn't take something at face value just because it's written down. The truth is, knights do plenty of things that aren't heroic at all. Things that hurt people.
You're not wrong. Some knights do terrible
And he's
things.
completely aware.
That doesn't make the great ones any less worthy of honor,
But
though.
really?
What about knights who have died taking a stand against the church? Would you call them great?
Here's the thing about it is there are great knights out there, and chances are you're hearing basically a hyperbole of what the truth was, to the point where it's basically a lie at this point.
That's complicated.
Or what about the knights who put me in Abyss, promising to release me from my curse? When they couldn't, they left me there out of fear for what I might do. Does that sound honorable to you?
Happy. I'm so sorry.
So is that how it went down, basically? She showed up and they're like, no, yeah, we'll fix you. But, for now, just, just in case, go down there. And then at a point they're like, what can we do? Well, she's already out of the way. Let's just not think about it anymore.
Sorry. I can't help but say nasty things. Got any more stories for me? Maybe another racy one?
Yes, actually. I came prepared with the most, racy ones I could find, in case you happen to ask.
Of course you did. Let's hear one then.
He so sounds like he's making it up on the spot with his, little stuttering and whatnot. I think he's just nervous, but obviously I've had very little interaction with Ashe throughout my playthroughs.
This is why I keep telling people we need to keep her underground. The church records explain in full detail what a threat she poses to everyone's safety. It's a miracle that no one was hurt. Next time, we may not be so lucky.
What makes you so certain this incident was caused by her sighing? It seems unfair to cast blame until you're truly sure.
Isn't it obvious? A horde of monsters appeared out of nowhere and attacked us.
Uh-oh. You guys are talking about me, aren't you?
There you are. You won't get away with this crime. I'll make sure everyone knows who was to blame.
Crime?
Hey, you didn't answer my question.
His voice did not drop in the
He
future.
doesn't care what we have to say. Forget about it.
No, you told me you had nothing to do with this. I can't just leave it alone.
Yes, you can. And you don't need to worry about it.
But I do. What if they pressured you into confessing something you hadn't actually done? They mean well, but they seem to think they have good reasons to suspect you. Those suspicions could lead to forceful questioning. They'll do anything to get to the bottom of this.
You're probably right. If he has his way, they'll do whatever they can to pin it on me. What about you? There isn't some part of you that agrees with that creep?
No. I know you don't sigh unless you absolutely can't help it. You would never endanger people like that unless something pushed you over the edge. I know this wasn't your fault. You said as much, and I believe you.
That's sweet. But unfortunately, your conviction isn't good for much on its own. We have no proof.
Then we'll find proof. If you didn't cause it, then something else did. We just have to find out what. I'll investigate the site where we were attacked. There could be a monster nest nearby.
Continue to approve an incident.
You're so darn trusting, Freckles. For all you know, I could be lying.
Your commitment to honesty is as strong as mine. You'd never turn your back on our common bond.
A gape.
You're just like the Luna Knight.
Hey, come on. I was being serious.
That's the funny part.
Sorry, I'm not laughing at you, I promise. I guess part of me was hoping to meet one of those storybook heroes. Now I finally have.
If that's how you feel, then I'm going to live up to it. I'll do my best to make sure you never sigh again.
I think Emil did a little bit better on the sighing front for that. Okay. No, that was nice, but not knowing Ashe, it's an interesting dynamic between the two. I get Ashe's perspective from someone you know. Trusting people through legends, though, that's where I think it's just ridiculous and whatnot, or the reputation of the organization they're part of, that sort of stuff. It's a nice middle ground, and I would feel in that sort of relationship that's actually a nice development to him finding a healthy place to place that trust, basically, and Hapi finding a nice exception to the rule. That is nice. Okay, Flayn. I did see support before.
It has been a while since we last spoke, Professor. Spare me a moment again, will you not?
Oh, wow, this is fantastic quality. 1080p? Okay, sure.
You recall how you helped me and allowed me to join your class, yes? I have learned a great many things since then. Indeed, I have truly grown so much. This personal growth is due in large part to you. And I wish to express my gratitude, sincerely.
I don't know. I was literally thinking that about the growth.
Excuse me? Are you implying that I am still naive?
No.
I will have you know that I have made...
No. What was the exact...
Express my gratitude, sincerely.
I mean, okay, so when I read that and I had in my mind, it was about height.
Excuse me? Are you implying that I am still naive? I will have you know that I have made many friends and am constantly learning new things. Why, when I go to the market alone, I even haggle. You must be familiar with the delicate art of haggling, in which one negotiates a lower asking price for an item. That is the type of knowledge common only to those as mature as myself.
How old are you again?
Who? Me? Have you not asked this once before? It is a bit rude to ask repeatedly, you know.
You didn't answer, though.
Is that so? Well, it seems we have something in common, since I do not know your age either. Come now, there is nothing to be gained from focusing so heavily on age. Touching on a previous discussion, I think I have learned more about you. I mentioned how you possess an air of mystery. I compared you to any old sea, but I have come to realize you are more like a particular sea, one I have seen before. When I was quite small, my mother would take me out to play in the sea. She was an excellent fisher, my mother. I grew to love fish deeply because of her.
So, yeah, I was about to say, where are you going with this? Because it's like, do you want to go swim in the sea?
Well, you see, fish are... Oh, wait. I was talking about the sea, was I not? Anyhow, I sense that, like the sea, your depths are seemingly impenetrable. Yet, despite your unknowable depths, there is something familiar about you.
Have I done this before?
It's as if we have met somewhere, long, long ago.
Am I just like seeing, like reading between the lines? Because this feels very familiar. Did I actually do the B before? I might have. I thought I only did the C.
No, I do not think so. It is all quite strange, really. I wonder if we might be distant relatives. No, that cannot be it either. After all, if we were related, that would mean... Though considering all that Rhea has done, it is not entirely outside the realm of possibility. Oh, apologies. Just muttering to myself. It is nothing. Mutterings aside, I mean to say that you do not feel like a stranger to me. For whatever reason, I feel deeply connected to you. And for this, I am glad.
I still find that weird. I know there's not many of them left, but you know. What's wrong?
Oh, hello, Professor. How nice to see you. You caught me off guard. I was actually just thinking about you.
Oh, why the sigh then? Trying to emulate Hapi?
Just a moment ago? Well, I am afraid I just do not understand you. When we first met, I sensed something different about you, something mysterious. And now I am convinced your existence itself is very special.
Well, look at my hair.
Thinking on it, I know it to be true. You have a crest that should have been lost long ago. You wield the sword of the Creator as if it is nothing. Your hair and eye color changed on that day 5 years ago. To the same sort of color as mine and my brother's.
Little.
I do not know. My brother refuses to speak to me of it. Since then, you have led us into battle, and thus far, we have always come out victorious. Your comrades and colleagues adore you. They believe in you, in your strength. I doubt there is a single soul who is likened to you. Who are you, really?
I know myself as well as anyone knows themselves.
I simply do not understand. Whatever the case may be, having hair like mine is proof that there is something exceptional about you. I may as well come forward with things.
Ooh.
I, too, am unlike others.
Shocking. How so?
Surely you recall when I was targeted, specifically for my blood? I may not be special in the ways you are, but my blood is rare. It seems the two of us share a special differentness. I also believe that we are bound together in some way. Of this I am certain. Therefore, I intend to stay by your side and watch over you. Your existence must be preserved at all cost.
Rather protect you?
Certainly those are the words of a hero.
Let
us unite our powers. Together, we are unstoppable.
An interesting perspective. I'm not too interested in the S one. I assume it'll be not really enlightening in any particularly extra significant way. Interesting at the very least. So basically she had a very similar thing to Seteth where it's just like, I feel the link to you. I can sort of get it from the fact that there's so few of them left. I can sort of get it from that perspective, but I don't know. I have the same feeling as I did with Seteth, where it's just like, okay, you're free to have that. I don't value that sort of connection at all, because my interpretation is more along the lines of someone who sees someone and decides, oh, you're family, so I'm just going to treat you how I, by default, treat you as family, even if it's sort of a subconscious way of doing it like Flayn seemed to be. Which I don't... I said it before with Seteth stuff, basically. Same sort of idea. Basically. Ta-da. Okay, Rhea Sports. I did A before, yeah?
Hello, Professor. It is so nice to see you here. It brings me great joy to know that you wish to visit with me again. I have this odd feeling that recently you've been trying to avoid me.
God damn it, game. You know me so well. Maybe.
Yes, I thought as much. In any case, I am delighted by this opportunity to speak with you again. My, how laughable I must seem. I imagine you must be dumbstruck by how unbecoming my behavior is for the Archbishop of all of Fodlan.
I mean, it doesn't really mean much. Quite unbecoming? Sure.
Such brusque manners. You must get those from your father. In any case, how are you feeling?
Manners are for the weak!
Have you experienced anything strange since you began wielding the Sword of the Creator?
Can't say I have.
I am glad. There are so many legends about that blade, I was worried that carrying it may result in some strange side effect. Has there really been nothing odd? A tightness in your chest? Strange dreams? Anything of the sort?
Tightness in your chest, my goodness. Actually, there's a young girl.
So you saw a young girl, and she appeared to you like a phantom?
Don't tell her.
I'm afraid I can't explain such an occurrence, but it may very well have something to do with that relic of yours.
Tell her.
Please know that you are welcome to come to me about anything.
Also, the fact that Sothis' approval dropped when you told Rhea about her, it's like, she doesn't want to be found by her? I guess maybe this is at a point where we're a lot more suspicious of her. Mind you, I never really stopped being suspicious of her, but you know.
I'm here for you, always. By the way, when I see you at work giving such splendid guidance to all of your students, I want you to know that it brings me great joy, as though I myself am receiving the benefit of your kindness.
Okay. Not really anything too special outside of stuff I already am aware of.
Hello there. I've been waiting for you.
Oh no!
If you would,
Oh no.
please allow me a closer look at your face. Those beautiful shining eyes.
Okay, this got creepy.
And silken hair so similar to my own.
Getting creepier. Yep, okay, yeah, he knows it too.
Oh dear, please excuse my rudeness. I forgot myself for a moment.
So
It is only that we haven't had a chance to speak privately since you were blessed with the power of the goddess.
So what you're saying, little Miss Rhea, is that's how you normally would act? You'd act like incredibly creepy towards me if you were like letting go of your inhibitions in that regard. Weird.
I hope I have not caused you any discomfort.
Plenty. Please don't do that. No, please don't do that again. Say it.
Oh, I do not know what to say.
Damn video.
I'm overjoyed that you feel that way, but... Well, to be frank, that is not like you, is it? Still, no matter how I wish to strengthen the bonds between us, it is important that I not overstep.
I mean, ultimately, she's just seeing him as her mother, no? And whatever mommy issues she still has going on. That's how I interpret it.
Yes. As souls blessed by a connection to the progenitor god, the bonds between us are truly unbreakable. Just as the goddess blessed you with her own power, I too received her divine protection long, long ago. Though different, our fates are entwined.
Interesting.
You say that now, but I am certain there is much you still wish to know.
Just say it then.
To that end, know that truth has a way of revealing itself in time. If you experience any further changes, please know that you can rely on me to guide you. Sedith and Flayn are also here to support you however they can. Dear child, may the goddess protect you always.
Is there an S support? Okay, this one I'm more curious about because there might be more to it. I don't give a shit about the romantic part of it, but...
As I soared through the sky, I spoke with my mother. Tell me, is it wrong for me to be happy that I escaped death? Can you still say such things to me, even after witnessing my other form? Thank you. Somehow I feel as though your acceptance alone is my salvation. My sweet companion. I am entrusting the future of Fodlan to you. It is the only logical choice, as everyone wishes for you to be the new leader of this land. I am not qualified to continue leading the people. Though my intention was to keep the peace in Fodlan, I still propagated a false history and deceived my faithful followers.
And so much more.
I also took advantage of my position as Archbishop to further my own selfish goal of seeing my mother again.
Yeah.
If my foolish actions had anything to do with the war,
They did.
I wonder. After all I have done, is it truly acceptable for me to go on living my life?
Oh, come on.
You are aware that it is my fault your fate has been so cruel.
Yes, it probably has, but personally, I'm not... I talked about it. Who cares about revenge? Fuck revenge. It's so boring. Don't live in the past, live in the now.
Are you not?
Better the world as you are now.
You have become so strong.
Learn from your mistakes.
You and I, we were brought together by the flow of time and bound by the hands of fate. I took you on as a professor, and ever since, well, I believe with all of my heart that this outcome was meant to be. Perhaps it is disrespectful of me to say that.
How's it disrespectful?
Because it gives all of the credit to time and to fate, and doesn't pay you due honor for all of the choices you made that brought us to this moment.
I'm just saying that, thinking about that from my perspective and the lack of choices I made to get to that point. But also, who cares about credit? The result, it matters way more than the credit.
For all that you have done, for all the joy that you have brought me, thank you. Ever since the tragedy at the Red Canyon, I have lived a solitary life. In an effort to fill the hole left by that solitude, I took up the challenge of reviving the progenitor god. I wished for you to become the progenitor god. I wished desperately to be held in my mother's arms once more.
Yep, that's
But
what I
that has
figured.
changed. Now, I wish only for you to be yourself, and to have you by my side. I love you dearly, and so I must ask, you brought a ring as well? Joy.
Okay, I think you got past the interesting part. Okay. I would not mind Rhea in the slightest if she grew in that way. I think that's good growth for her. I feel as though she was very much a character who was setting the stage for all the problems of the world that people acted on or felt motivated by. Often driven by, essentially, a very selfish motive to help, as she said herself, to see her mother again. And I assume that largely has to do with how she impacted the MC here. So that probably has a lot more to do with that. But I can only imagine how much of those desires bled over into other decision making, even if it was relatively independent of all that. So yeah. I mean, it's good growth for her at the very least. Like, the problems I have with her, she's shown growth from. I don't care about blaming people for the stuff they did in the past. I care about what the world has become. I care about what opportunities arise in the modern day. Past mistakes are things to learn from. Regrets are things that you learn from. All those things are things you learn from. It's not a matter of revenge. It's not a matter of credit. It's not a matter of any of these things. It's just a matter of taking your foot, taking the next step forward to tomorrow with the lessons you've learned and the you that you are currently, rather than the you that you were yesterday. That's my opinion on it. So good on her for growing in whatever capacity this is. Whatever the complete context is here. Good on her for that. And the same applies to a lot of the characters in this, so yeah. Also, one final one.
Sorry for calling you out here like this. I wanted to talk, just the two of us.
Because we have to.
First of all, I wanted to say thank you for all your hard work. It seems like our long struggle may finally be coming to an end.
Because we gotta. Do you think it's really the end?
The way forward will certainly be rough. Right now, Fodlan is like a newborn, frail and easily upset. If we don't create a new ruling system soon, the Empire and Kingdom will descend into chaos. The coronation ceremony is the first step. Only then will Fodlan truly be a single, united land. I'm sorry that I won't be by your side at such an important event, but I'm certain you'll do great.
You won't be there? How dare you?
I must return to my homeland. As for ruling this new unified land, well, I'll leave that to you.
Oh, this feels...
The Fodlan blood that flows in my veins. I've made use of it as best I could. Now I've got to use my other bloodline to change my homeland for the better. I have royal connections there too, insignificant as they may be. It's time for me to struggle all over again and see what good I can do.
So they were minor.
If I don't change things in both Fodlan and the lands beyond, I'll never set eyes on the kind of world I've dreamed of creating.
I can't be a ruler? Yeah, I didn't want to be a ruler.
You're the successor Rhea appointed, aren't you? And now you're also the hero who saved Fodlan. All those weak people who have nothing to cling to but their goddess. They'll rely on you just like they used to rely on Rhea.
Gotta wean them off that.
You'll be a leader all who are struggling to survive in war-torn lands can look up to. And I want a ruler who can lay down a new set of values for the people. Values that don't exclude anyone for being different. I know it's a lot to ask, but you're the only one who can do it.
Interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of work there.
I have something else to ask. Please, I hope you'll accept this.
Hell yeah, let's do this.
When I first saw you wield the sword of the Creator, I wanted to use your power to my advantage. I wanted to use you to make my dream of a new world come true.
I assume this is an edit.
But before long, I realized what I really wanted was to see that new world with you by my side. I still feel that way, you know? I always will. That's why I have to leave. But nothing will stop me from coming back. There's no way I'm gonna let you go. You know that, don't you?
I assume this is an edit.
Thank you. For everything. I'll be back before you know it. We'll only be apart for a short while. And now, I'm off to cross Fodlan's throat. I love you. With everything I am. And the next time we see each other, it will be at the dawn of a whole new world. A peaceful, happy world.
Well, props on them for the edit there. That's a good edit. They have one for Dimitri too, apparently. Neato. Okay. No, I just wanted to see that. I just thought like, I wonder if anyone did that. That would be a fantastic way to end off the series. And I think it is. Ultimately, and there's been a few comments since I recorded the last episode prior to this, and the end of the game, about how apparently the Fire Emblem devs ultimately made the game not thinking people were going to do multiple routes. And honestly, that explains a lot. I would almost say that this game would be better if it was like an internal set of sequels. Like the stories were like sequels to each other and built on each other, and the overarching story was an actual overarching story rather than tidbits here and there that you have to maybe track down at some point in an incoherent manner that is all over the place, and eventually you go and read the wiki in the end. The poster, Rio Draco, from before, thanks again. If I'm getting that wrong, I'm sorry. I'm doing that off the top of my head. But he's posted so many random explanations and stuff over time. It's like, those are interesting. But part of it is like, they're interesting, but it's like, shouldn't I learn this in the game? Shouldn't this be something I learn dramatically from the characters in the game? As part of that, it's like, it's not that interesting when it's just lore. So, and while I'm not saying that sort of stuff shouldn't be there. It's when all that stuff is just thrown and just like lightly hinted at every several, maybe 5-10 hours or something throughout an 80-hour journey is when it just becomes not worth it for that. And then I'll stand by the other thing that I said, that once you get into the point where everything starts like contradicting each other between routes, and you have things that are, you have two different stories basically going on, the one you already experienced and another one that you have going, and the values, the who's right or blah blah blah, how they portray stuff is contradicting. Once you get to that point, it, in my opinion, it basically muddies the water in terms of the tight emotional story. I think if I were to make this with hindsight in mind, I would probably make it so that each route took place over the course of like a 5-year war or something like that, and they each had like a segment of it, of a story they told. So you could do a part of the segment. You'd probably have to do it in a specific order at that point, but you could have a story that happens and it's tight and it's just like this relatively short thing that like has a strong emotional follow-through. And then you could have another segment of it where you happen to side with a different side, and you just like wake up later or something like that. And then you have another emotional, tightly knit story, while also being the second part of a 3-part arc of an overall story that you can get that's notable, and stuff like that. And you don't have as much, and you have the actual story be a lot more, the tight-knit emotional story be a lot more personal, so that you don't have as many sides just completely contradicting each other. You have it much more about ideals. I think there are ways you could do it so that the multi-route stuff works better, basically. And you do the same for the third and finally to a climax and whatnot and stuff like that. And I'm not saying what's here is bad. I just think that, from what I was told, that they didn't make it with playing multiple routes in mind makes so much sense. Because that's where things start to fall apart in my head. Again, that's like the difference between like a 9 out of 10 game and an 8 out of 10 game. But still. And I think that's just my opinion on it. I think that's where I am with just this game in total. I think I'm at the point where I've had my fill. I have absolutely no belief that I will get to a state where I can enjoy something to the level I did the first route. Even if it is really good, or anything of that nature, just because of the muddledness it will be at that point between all the different routes and whatnot. It'll just stop it from hitting nearly as hard on the emotional points and whatnot, so. And that's okay with me. It's a huge-ass time commitment in the end for each of these. It is the most time I put into any game on my channel. I gotta be honest, it is like easily the most I put into any game on my channel. And ultimately, I've enjoyed my time with it, but I think it's time I moved on. If I do end up doing Blue Lion stuff or any of the other stuff in the future, it'll probably be me watching a Let's Play on YouTube, basically, just to see it. See someone else's reaction, see them experience it from a unique, blank perspective and get a little bit of that vicariousness out of them, just like I try to provide with my, videos and whatnot. So, if you've come along with what might be the longest series, maybe not in the videos exactly, but the longest time I put into playing a game on my channel, thank you. It has been quite a long one, and I've enjoyed large chunks of it, while others less so, admittedly. But that's where I'm going to leave it. Thank you all, and I'll see you in whatever I see you in next time. That's been Fire Emblem Three Houses, and I'll see you then. Drive safely, everyone.